Hi all, it's Adi here from Hunts and Junts, and as always thank you so much for clicking on the video, and my apologies. I was so excited about coming here that I actually forgot to record an intro. So I'm in deepest darkest North Wales, and I'm sure you can already tell that I'm in Conwy Castle. So I'm going to have a walk around the site, so please do join me. I'll give you a little bit of the castle's history, but please do remember that this is just a vlog of my little jaunt to the castle and not a full-on documentary. I do hope you enjoy. Today my jaunt takes me to one of the most impressive medieval fortresses anywhere in Britain, Conwy Castle, here on the north coast of Wales. And as we walk around, it's worth taking a moment to appreciate just how dramatic this place is. And I will be going to walk around on the wall on the top, and there you'll see how it rises above the River Conwy. It's got these beautiful huge stone towers and these thick commanding walls. The castle still looks every bit as powerful as it must have done more than 700 years ago. And that's because this wasn't built as a nobleman's home or as a decorative palace. It was built as a statement of power. And to understand why Conwy Castle exists, we need to go back to the late 13th century and one of the most famous kings in English history, Edward I. Now, he had spent years campaigning in Wales, and at that time Wales wasn't part of England. It was made up of independent Welsh principalities ruled by Welsh princes. After a series of wars, Edward defeated the Welsh princes, and he decided that military victory alone wasn't enough. He wanted permanent control. So he launched one of the most ambitious castle building programs Europe has ever seen. Conwy Castle was one of several mighty fortresses built during this campaign, and there's other places that were built called Conwy Castle, Harlech Castle and Beaumaris Castle. Now, Harlech and Beaumaris I have actually visited, and those videos will be coming out very soon on the channel, so if you want to watch those as well, please do like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification bell, which will let you know when I've uploaded a new video. Together they formed what historians sometimes call the Iron Ring of Castles. Construction here began in 1283 and it actually moved at remarkable speed. Thousands of labourers, craftsmen, masons and carpenters were brought in. Now, the chief architect was a master builder named James of St. George, and he is often regarded as one of the greatest military architects of the medieval period. Amazingly, much of the castle was completed within just a few years. And as we look around today, you'll notice the 8 enormous towers that dominate the skyline. Now, they're arranged around 2 main courtyards, and this created a fortress that was both highly defensible and surprisingly sophisticated. Even after centuries of weathering, the scale of this place is truly astonishing. And one thing that surprised visitors and me was how much of the original structure still survives, because many castles around Britain are little more than ruins, but Conwy remains remarkably intact. As I'm walking around the castle, I'm trying to imagine what life must have been like here in the Middle Ages. This place would have been home to soldiers, servants, officials, and on occasion the king himself. Now, life here wasn't particularly comfortable by our modern standards, but this was one of the most advanced fortresses of its time. There were private royal apartments, kitchens, storage rooms, chapels and defensive positions, all carefully integrated into the design, and every detail here served a purpose. The narrow windows, for example, these weren't designed to provide us with lovely views. They were designed to make it difficult for attackers to fire inside, and the 8 towers here provided an excellent vantage point for archers, and the walls in places here are over 4 meters thick. So anyone considering an assault, this must have been such an intimidating sight, and of course being intimidating was exactly the point. Edward I wasn't simply building castles, he was building symbols of authority. And Conwy wasn't just a castle, because alongside it, Edward established a new fortified town, protected by massive town walls, much of which still survive today. It's quite often referred to as some of the best preserved town walls anywhere in Europe, and the castle and town were designed to work together. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough time to visit them today, but maybe on another visit. It's a good excuse to go back to North Wales, isn't it? Now, these represented English control in a region that had recently resisted conquest, and it's unsurprising that control wasn't always accepted peacefully. Only a little more than a decade after this castle was built, Wales erupted into a rebellion. And during the uprising of 1294 and 1295, the castle found itself at the centre of events. Now, Edward I actually became trapped here for a time while Welsh forces controlled much of the surrounding area. Eventually, the rebellion was suppressed, but it demonstrated that even having the strongest fortresses could not guarantee complete control. And over the centuries, the castle continued to play a major role in historical events, including during the 15th century when there was another dramatic uprising, and Conwy Castle itself changed hand during this turbulent period. And then in the 17th century, the castle became caught up in the English Civil War, and royalist forces held the castle in support of King Charles I. So for a while, these walls once again became part of a national conflict. Eventually, the royalists surrendered, and afterwards Parliament ordered many castles around the country to be partially dismantled to prevent their future military use. The castle did suffer some damage during this period, but fortunately it escaped the complete destruction that befell many other castles. And this is one of the reasons why today we can still experience so much of that original structure. And as we continue walking, take a look at the stonework. Some of these blocks have stood here since the reign of Edward I. They've witnessed wars, rebellions, royal visits, storms, economic change, and the transformation of Wales through the centuries, and yet they remain. When we talk about kings and battles and castles, it's so easy to forget the thousands of people whose ordinary daily lives revolved around places like this. The labourers who hauled the stone, the craftsmen who shaped it, and the guards who stood watch through cold winter nights, the cooks preparing meals. All of those people and their lives have left traces here, and while the famous names make it into the history books, these walls quietly remember everyone else. Conwy sits beside the river, and that wasn't an accident. The water provided a valuable supply route because ships could bring food, equipment and reinforcements directly to the castle, and in times of siege, access to the sea could be the difference between survival and defeat. And here at the castle you can see different generations of engineering existing side by side. There's the famous suspension bridge designed by the renowned engineer Thomas Telford. It was completed in 1826, and the bridge was part of the London to Holyhead road route, and it represented a major achievement in transport engineering. And next to that is the impressive railway bridge that was designed by Robert Stevenson. It was completed in 1848 and it carried trains across the river during the great age of railway expansion. When it was built, it was considered a remarkable feat of Victorian engineering. Today, the castle, suspension bridge and railway together really do create a fascinating timeline of British history, because in a single view you can see medieval military architecture, early industrial age road engineering and Victorian railway innovation all standing alongside one another. And it's a reminder that every generation leaves its mark on the landscape. Walking around this wonderful castle, it's hard not to be impressed by what has survived here. This isn't just a castle ruin, it's a place where centuries of Welsh and British history overlap. From Edward I's conquest of Wales, through rebellions and civil war, right up to the engineering achievements of the Industrial Revolution, Conwy has stood at the centre of such an extraordinary story, and perhaps that's what makes visiting here so special. We're not just looking at old stones, we're standing inside a place that has witnessed some of the most important chapters in the history of Wales. I'm going to wrap the video up here. I really do hope you enjoyed our visit here to Conwy Castle, and if you did, if you could please like, subscribe, hit the hype button down below. It doesn't cost anything, but it really helps the channel out, and I shall see you for the next one. Bye for now.